What's Happening? 1976 to 1979 was a trailblazing sitcom that brought the everyday lives, struggles, and joys of a close-knit group of teenagers in Los Angeles into living rooms across America. With its relatable characters and heartfelt humor, the show became a beloved classic that resonated with audiences of all ages. However, behind the laughter and lighthearted moments, some of the talented actors who brought these characters to life faced heartbreaking challenges and tragically passed away. In this video, we take a closer look at the cast members of What's Happening, who are no longer with us. Join us as we celebrate the lives of these unforgettable performers who made What's Happening truly special. Fred Berry was born on March 19, 1951, and played the iconic role of Freddie Rerun Stubbs in What's Happening in 1976 at the age of 25. As Rerun, he was the comedic heartbeat of the show, always dancing, scheming, and stuffing his face, an endearing mix of innocence and mischief. But Berry's real life was anything but sitcom light. His post-show career crumbled under the weight of addiction, ballooning weight, and a desperate need to reclaim fame. He was fired from the What's Happening Now reboot due to disruptive behavior and clashing with producers. Berry married 6 times, 4 of them to the same 2 women, entangling himself in toxic, volatile romances that often turned violent behind closed doors. He sank into financial ruin, once claiming to live on food stamps after fame faded. His flirtation with religion led him to become a Baptist minister, though whispers persisted about the sincerity of his transformation. Berry's descent was marked by isolation, diabetes-related health complications, and a bitter lawsuit over the rights to the Rerun name. He died on October 21, 2003, at age 52, from complications of a stroke and diabetes. Mabel King was born on December 25, 1932, and played Mabel Mama Thomas in 1976 at age 44, the strict but loving mother whose no-nonsense presence kept Raj and Dee grounded. On screen, she was all wisdom and warmth. Off-screen, however, King led a life filled with heartache and disillusionment. A former nightclub singer and stage powerhouse, she felt boxed in by the limitations of television and clashed bitterly with producers over the show's direction. She left What's Happening after just 2 seasons, frustrated by the sidelining of her character. Politically, she shocked fans by becoming an outspoken black conservative, aligning herself with Reagan-era Republicans and alienating many in the black community. Her personal life was marred by estrangement from family, including her son Larry King Jr., who rarely spoke of her publicly. Diabetes ravaged her body, she endured multiple amputations and strokes, and in her final years, she lived in near obscurity, isolated and incapacitated. She died on November 9, 1999, at age 66. Shirley Hemphill was born on July 1, 1947, and at age 29 began playing Shirley Wilson, the razor-tongued waitress with a heart of gold, in What's Happening. Her character was fearless and funny, often stealing scenes with sheer attitude. But behind the sass, Hemphill struggled deeply. A former factory worker turned stand-up comic, she was notorious in the industry for her brutal honesty and inability to suffer fools, traits that alienated producers and cost her roles. She starred in her own sitcom, 1 in a Million, but it was canceled after 1 season, sparking bitterness and accusations that Hollywood wasn't ready for an outspoken, plus-size black woman in the spotlight. She never married, and friends noted a growing reclusiveness in her later years, marked by heavy drinking and chronic loneliness. Though generous to struggling comedians, Hemphill had few close confidants and lived in a modest home far from the Hollywood lights. Her body was discovered only days after her death, on December 10, 1999 at 52, from kidney failure, a tragically quiet end to a once boisterous voice. Fritzy Burr was born on May 31, 1924, and at age 53 appeared in What's Happening in 1977 as Miss Collins, the exasperated but endearing schoolteacher. Her role was minor, but she brought a sharp comedic edge that stood out. Yet Burr's real story simmered in the shadows. A veteran character actress who worked steadily but never achieved stardom, she was known in industry circles for being fiercely private and fiercely opinionated. She was allegedly blacklisted by certain casting agents after heated disputes on set, particularly during the 1970s, where she was rumored to clash with directors over her refusal to play token Jewish stereotypes. Despite being part of a prominent Hollywood family, related to director John Turteltaub, she lived modestly, almost hermit-like in her later years. There were whispers of a decades-long secret romance with a closeted A-list actor, but Burr never confirmed anything. She died quietly on January 17, 2003, at age 78, of natural causes, largely forgotten by the very industry she once tried to reshape on her own terms. Helen Martin, born July 23, 1909, played Millie, the neighborhood's sharp-tongued yet lovable elder, when she joined the cast of What's Happening in 1976 at age 67. On screen, she brought comic relief and homespun wisdom, yet behind her matriarchal roles lay decades of unseen personal strife. Martin's distinguished stage background often went unacknowledged in Hollywood, and insiders say she resented being pigeonholed as the sassy black granny. Despite her strong public friendships with Red Fox and Marla Gibbs, there were reports of jealousy and bitterness over Fox's success, with sources claiming a long-standing feud simmered between them. Though she never married, there were rumors of a secret romance with a married Broadway producer in the 1940s, which ended in scandal and nearly derailed her early career. Privately, she battled lifelong anxiety and insomnia, often self-medicating with alcohol, which some say contributed to her unpredictable moods on set. Despite these shadows, she maintained a fierce independence and sharp wit until the end. Helen Martin died of a heart attack on March 25, 2000, at age 90. Thalmus Razula was born on November 15, 1935, and stepped into the role of Bill Thomas, Raj and Dee's father, in 1976 at the age of 41. Dignified and grounded, his character was a beacon of black fatherhood rarely seen on television. Yet Thalmus's off-screen life was riddled with contradictions. A rising star in the blaxploitation era, he carried the burden of being both a sex symbol and a serious actor, a duality that left him bitter about Hollywood's typecasting. Despite his success, he privately struggled with rage issues, reportedly getting into physical altercations with co-stars and storming off sets. His 2 marriages dissolved amid allegations of infidelity and neglect. Though he fathered 7 children, his relationship with them was distant, strained by long absences and rumored substance use. A self-proclaimed health advocate, he ironically collapsed from a fatal heart attack on October 9, 1991, at just 55 years old. Friends described him as a man haunted by missed opportunities and mistrust of the industry he never truly felt at home in. Teddy Wilson, born December 10, 1943, portrayed the smooth-talking hustler Al Dunbar in What's Happening in 1976 at age 33. Wilson's career was peppered with roles as charming con men, but behind the scenes, his life was anything but stable. Though he found success in TV with recurring roles in Good Times and Sanford and Son, he faced harsh industry bias and was often typecast, stalling what could have been a breakthrough career. His marriage to actress Joan Pringle masked deeper issues, rumors of extramarital affairs, financial instability, and quiet separations surfaced throughout the 1980s. Friends recalled his increasing bitterness as Hollywood overlooked his dramatic potential. A diabetic who often ignored his health, Wilson was also allegedly known for his difficult temperament on set, clashing with directors and co-stars. Whispers of a gambling problem circulated in the final years, along with unconfirmed reports of substance abuse. On July 21, 1991, Teddy Wilson died of a stroke in Los Angeles at age 47. Greg Morris, born September 27, 1933, appeared as Lawrence Nelson in a 1977 episode of What's Happening. At age 44, Morris famously stormed out of the 1996 Mission: Impossible film, condemning its departure from the original's integrity and its disrespect to the legacy he helped build. The actor had long battled frustration over racial stereotyping in Hollywood and grew increasingly vocal, often to the discomfort of executives. Privately, Morris' marriage began unraveling in the early 1980s amid rumors of infidelity and substance misuse. A devastating car accident in 1981 left him with lingering injuries, both physical and psychological, sidelining his career. His relationships with his children, including actor Phil Morris, were reportedly strained due to his mood swings and unpredictable behavior, exacerbated by his declining health. Friends confided that he became increasingly reclusive, harboring deep resentment toward an industry he once helped change. Greg Morris died of cancer on August 27, 1996, at age 62. Danny Wells was born on April 7, 1941, and played Bert Frederick in What's Happening? In 1976 at age 35. Though his character was minor, Wells gave it a quirky pulse. On screen, he was Luigi to millions of kids, but behind the scenes, his life bore quiet shadows. Wells' voice acting success masked years of feeling typecast and undervalued in Hollywood. In the late 80s, he was quietly let go from multiple animated projects, not for lack of talent, but due to rumors of his erratic behavior, rumors never confirmed, yet enough to dry up key opportunities. Friends spoke of his obsessive perfectionism and long nights haunted by a deep insecurity over being remembered only as a sidekick. Unmarried and childless, his private life was shrouded in mystery. Those close to him knew of his reclusive habits, especially in his later years. Wells spent much of his time alone in Toronto, paranoid that his legacy would be forgotten. He died there on November 28, 2013, aged 72. The cause of death was never disclosed, prompting whispered speculation among fans and colleagues alike. Rosalyn Cash was born December 31, 1938, and portrayed Loretta in What's Happening? In 1976, when she was 38. On screen, she was fierce, independent, magnetic. But Rosalyn's real battles were off-camera. She was notorious in Hollywood for rejecting roles she deemed demeaning to black women, a stance that blacklisted her from major studios by the early 80s. Though a classically trained actress, Cash was typecast or ignored, leading to bitter public fights with casting agents. Her relationships, too, were stormy. A long-term romance with a high-profile producer ended after allegations of emotional abuse surfaced, leaving her emotionally shattered. She never married, and by all accounts lived a solitary life, estranged from family and struggling with chronic illness. Her activism, once celebrated, became a source of tension as her outspokenness led to multiple projects being shelved. In her final years, Cash battled cancer quietly, refusing most visitors. She died on October 31, 1995, at age 56, alone, defiant, and largely forgotten by the industry she once challenged so boldly. Wolfman Jack, born Robert Weston Smith on January 21, 1938, appeared as the MC in What's Happening? In 1976 at the age of 38. On air, he was the king of chaos, a voice that lit up America's youth. But behind the outrageous stage persona lay a complex, often reckless life. He admitted in later interviews to frequent cocaine use during the height of his fame, and insiders recall parties that spiraled into excess and scandal. Though he portrayed himself as a family man, Wolfman had multiple affairs and at least one love child he never acknowledged publicly. There were whispers of financial mismanagement, and in the late 80s, he narrowly avoided IRS prosecution after years of underreporting. Industry friends spoke of his bipolar moods and his obsessive need for relevance, which pushed him into questionable business ventures and strange late-night infomercials. After a rare moment of triumph on tour in 1995, he returned home and died of a heart attack on July 1, 1995, aged 57, just hours after his final broadcast, as if his heart finally gave out, chasing a spotlight he could never leave behind. Davis Roberts was born on March 7, 1917, and played Mr. Bradley in What's Happening. From 1977 to 1979 at age 60. Though seen as a symbol of dignity on screen, off-camera Roberts bore deep scars from a lifetime of systemic exclusion. He was quietly blackballed during the McCarthy era after being falsely labeled a communist sympathizer, an accusation that led to nearly a decade of unemployment. He never spoke publicly of the toll this period took, but letters discovered posthumously revealed suicidal thoughts and a sense of deep betrayal. While admired for his activism, Roberts clashed with NAACP leadership over what he called token representation, leading to his quiet withdrawal from public civil rights work in the 1980s. He never married and lived alone, rumored to have had a secret long-term partner in a time when homosexuality in Hollywood could end a career. Roberts died of emphysema on July 18, 1993, aged 76, his legacy as an artist eclipsed by a lifetime of sacrifice and silent suffering. Dick Van Patten, born December 9, 1928, appeared as Mr. Claxton in What's Happening? In 1976 at age 48. On screen, his character embodied wholesome benevolence, a sugary mentor figure who embodied everything audiences expected of a nice guy. But Hollywood's favorite dad had darker corners. Though praised for stability, behind the scenes, Van Patten's compulsive gambling nearly cost him his home in the 1980s, and he borrowed heavily from co-stars to cover massive betting debts. Industry whispers noted his passive-aggressive streak and a habit of undermining younger actors he viewed as competition. His seemingly rock-solid marriage had its own cracks, marred by rumors of quiet separations and a string of emotional affairs with younger actresses. His jovial image was so meticulously protected by publicists that few knew he was briefly blacklisted from family shows due to his off-color humor backstage. He died on June 23, 2015, aged 86, from complications of diabetes, having carefully curated a legacy far more charming than the turbulent truth behind it. Percy Rodriguez was born June 13, 1918, and played Todd Miller in What's Happening? In 1977 at age 59. Known for his regal tone and poise, Rodriguez was hailed as a dignified black voice in white-dominated Hollywood, but the roles he played masked a bitter reality. Despite his acclaim, he often complained in private about being relegated to narrations and wise elder roles, never allowed to explore flawed, human characters. Friends recall his disdain for how studios used his voice but denied him presence, with one close confidant claiming he turned down over 40 roles he found demeaning. His marriage faltered in the late 70s amid allegations of emotional distance and infidelity, and his relationship with his children became strained, particularly his son, who publicly accused Rodriguez of being a father to the world, but not to his family. Though he maintained a stoic image, Rodriguez quietly battled kidney disease for years, refusing treatment near the end. He died on September 6, 2007, aged 89, from kidney failure, his voice silenced, but the pain beneath it never fully known. Sorel Bu, born January 4, 1930, played Mr. Finley in What's Happening? In 1978 at age 48. The role was small but left a peculiar impression, a bumbling authority figure whose rigidity became unintentionally comical. In contrast to his polished Ivy League image and celebrated run as Boss Hogg, Bu's post-hazard years were far less glamorous. Behind closed doors, he struggled with intense body dysmorphia, triggered by the grotesque fat suit he wore, which led to emotional breakdowns and secret visits to psychiatrists. While the industry admired his intellect, he spoke 5 languages and served in military intelligence, he also suffered from chronic insomnia and bouts of isolation. A closeted man in an era of unforgiving scrutiny, Bu maintained a lifelong bachelorhood, masking his identity under layers of over-the-top humor. Despite public perceptions of him as squeaky clean, he battled silent addiction to painkillers in the final years, stemming from a botched back surgery. He died on February 11, 1994, at age 64, from colorectal cancer. Warren Berlinger, born August 31, 1937, played Ben Martin in What's Happening? In 1977 at age 40. Known for his affable charm, his character embodied the everyman, humble, funny, approachable. But off-screen, Berlinger's career spiraled after repeated clashes with producers due to his infamous temper. While married to Betty Lou Keim, the marriage was reportedly turbulent, marred by his infidelities and extended absences. His family life was strained by financial mismanagement. He squandered much of his earnings on failed business ventures, including a doomed nightclub in Las Vegas tied to mob financing. Deeply insecure about his fading fame, Berlinger allegedly feuded with other aging actors, often sabotaging auditions to maintain what little spotlight he had left. His bitterness grew as his offers dried up in the 90s, leading to a stint in rehab for alcohol abuse, a detail his family tried to bury. He died of cancer on December 2, 2020, at age 83, his final years marked by quiet regret and a gnawing sense of irrelevance. Bernard Fox, born May 11, 1927, portrayed a bumbling Britisher on What's Happening? In 1978 at age 51. Off-screen, Fox's life was a tapestry of charm and turmoil. Twice widowed, he struggled with loneliness and bouts of depression, with whispers of numerous extramarital affairs and volatile relationships shadowing his reputation. A naval veteran, he wrestled with PTSD and turned to heavy drinking and gambling, habits that nearly derailed his career multiple times. Industry insiders recalled his unpredictable mood swings and occasional temper outbursts, which strained professional relationships. Despite his eccentric public persona, Fox privately battled feelings of professional stagnation and regret over missed opportunities. He passed away from heart failure on December 14, 2016, aged 89, leaving behind a legacy rich in humor but shadowed by personal demons and loss. Irene Cara, born March 18, 1959, portrayed the lively Maria in What's Happening? In 1977 at just 18. Though youthful and radiant on screen, behind her early stardom lay a tangled mess of exploitation and betrayal. Catapulted to fame after fame in Flashdance, she later sued her record label in a fierce battle over unpaid royalties, a bold move that cost her dearly. Branded difficult, she was quietly blackballed from major projects. Cara's personal life was riddled with chaos. A toxic relationship with a controlling partner ended with her retreating into seclusion. Friends described her final years as increasingly paranoid. She suspected everyone, including fans, of ulterior motives. She hoarded unopened mail and refused interviews for decades. Her home became a fortress, and her health deteriorated in silence, exacerbated by diabetes and stress-induced heart problems. Found dead on November 25, 2022, at age 63, her passing was as quiet as the years that preceded it. No entourage, no farewell tour, just a talented woman buried by an industry that once cheered her and then turned away. Lee Chamberlain was born February 14, 1938, and portrayed the nurturing yet strong-willed Lee on What's Happening? In 1977 at 39. Her character symbolized empowerment and compassion, reflecting her real-life advocacy for education and African American arts. Yet her personal life told a bleaker story. She endured a volatile marriage that ended in a highly publicized, bitter custody dispute over her children. Financial instability and persistent health issues, including a long battle with metastatic cancer, forced her into early retirement and exile to Paris. Behind the scenes, Chamberlain wrestled with depression and feelings of invisibility within an industry reluctant to support women of color beyond a certain age. She was rumored to have clashed with producers and co-stars over creative differences, fueling tension and professional setbacks. Her final years were spent away from the spotlight, quietly fighting cancer until her death on May 25, 2014, aged 76, leaving a legacy of resilience shadowed by pain and industry neglect. Jeff Cory, born August 10, 1914, played Hassan in What's Happening? In 1978 at age 64. His character, wise and reserved, mirrored his off-screen gravitas, but Cory's legacy was forged in rebellion. Blacklisted during the McCarthy era for refusing to name names, he lived under surveillance, broke, and unemployable for over a decade. Though later redeemed as a teacher to stars like Nicholson and Streisand, Cory was deeply disillusioned with Hollywood's moral cowardice. In private, he battled depression and a strained marriage tested by poverty and political ostracism. Even his students noted his volatile moods, genius often laced with condescension and fury. His home, filled with FBI files, old scripts, and rejection letters, stood as a shrine to paranoia and perseverance. Despite a late career resurgence, Cory never fully trusted the industry again. He died on August 16, 2002, aged 88, from complications after a fall, his final act as unscripted and uncompromising as the life he fought to reclaim. Earl Bowen, born August 8, 1941, stepped into the role of Judge Barnes on What's Happening? In 1977 at 36. The stern, unwavering judge fit his no-nonsense image perfectly, reinforcing his typecast roles as authority figures. Yet beneath this respectability, Bowen faced quiet turmoil. Career-wise, he struggled to break from villainous or judge roles, reportedly battling frustration and resentment over typecasting. Off-camera, Bowen's private nature hid a darker side. Close acquaintances revealed periods of deep isolation, exacerbated by his heavy smoking and eventual battle with lung cancer. Despite a long career spanning voice acting and on-screen roles, he faced occasional whispers about tense relationships with co-stars and producers who found his intensity difficult. Bowen retired from screen acting in 2003 and died of lung cancer on January 5, 2023, at age 81, a somber end to a prolific but sometimes lonely career. David White was born on April 4, 1916, and played the fastidious Mr. Reynolds on What's Happening? In 1976 at age 60. His character was the classic uptight authority figure, often pompous but with a comic edge that shaped many episodes. Though White enjoyed steady roles, his career had hidden scars. After the tragic 1988 Pan Am Flight 103 bombing claimed his son, he spiraled into depression, barely concealing it from colleagues. Whispers in Hollywood circles spoke of his increasing reclusiveness and erratic behavior on set in those final years. Rumors surfaced about bitter disputes over contracts and outbursts that made him difficult to work with. Off-screen, his marriage endured turbulence, marked by rumors of infidelity and estrangement from his remaining family. His grief was profound in public, yet he returned to work until his sudden death from a massive heart attack on November 27, 1990, aged 74, leaving a legacy marred by personal tragedy and unspoken pain. Malachi Throne, born December 1, 1928, played the dignified consul on What's Happening? In 1978 at 50. His character's calm diplomacy was a stark contrast to his off-screen persona. Throne was fiercely independent and notoriously difficult to work with, often clashing with directors and co-stars. His career was defined by a string of near misses and decisions that many consider costly, such as turning down the role of Dr. McCoy on Star Trek due to fears of being overshadowed. This decision haunted him and contributed to bouts of bitterness and isolation. Throne's private life was tumultuous, marked by multiple marriages ending in scandalous divorces involving accusations of infidelity and emotional abuse. His smoking habit and chronic health problems further complicated his later years. Despite his talent, his legacy is complicated by his unwillingness to compromise and his secret of loneliness. He succumbed to lung cancer on March 13, 2013, aged 84, leaving a career both admired and marred by controversy. Who's your favorite character and what's happening? How do you feel knowing that the actors have passed away? Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss future videos. Thank you so much.